Good evening and welcome all. We return to the regular meeting of the board after a short recess, and I rise and report on items dealt with in committee of the whole closed session. These items pertained to personnel issues for principal and vice principal appointments and senior team organization. Please rise for acknowledgement and national anthem, and please turn off your cameras while this occurs.
We would like to acknowledge
that we are here today
on the traditional territory
of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
Nous tenons à reconnaître que nous sommes sur le territoire traditionnel
des Mississaugas de la Première Nation de Credit.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Quand on grâce est porté le pays, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Once again this evening, I invite trustees to ask questions on the reports by staff, and all questions by trustees can be placed in the chat, and I'll facilitate asking them and identifying the trustee who has raised the question. Approval of the agenda. I approve the agenda for this evening. I have no conflicts to declare. There are no notable celebrations for this month. Staff recognition, retirements. I'd like to acknowledge all our retirees and thank them for their many years of dedicated service to the Peel District School Board. We wish you every success in your future endeavors. These are our retirements for this month. Lynn Azes, Warren Beecham, Flavina Bonanno, Donalda Boyd, Sharon Bridgewater, Marcia Berger, JMNC Busawan, Nazaire Caterino, Karen Cotton, Betty Coulson, Carol Cummins, Angie Davidson, Heather Davidson, Patty DeLillo, Rita Dixon, Kirsten Drynan, Bianca Edmonds, Junior Edwards, Muriel Edwards, Idel Gallivan, Terry Giancopoulos, Scott Guthrie, Jan Haramchuk, Barbara Kakpers, Augusta Kester, Lynn King, Richard Nill, Darlene Kolb, Vinaya Kumar, Jennifer Legault, Joyce Lehman, Kimberly Mabin, Penny Maltman, Jane McKeeman, Anka Mokin, Vasantha Naidu, Jim Pickering, Brunella Rita, Joe Romano, Tonina Rossi, Ingrid Slavic Kerrigan, Beverly Snook, Igor Sperguian, Vicky Spence, David Sterrett, Susan Sweeney, Michael Theodore, Jane Tidy Russell, Sharon Todafurno, Lisa Town, Fong Trang, Rudy Tulloch, Bridget Vanderborg, Marlene Vandenhelm, Jillian Winton-Boer, Connie Zirin. Thank you again to all of you for your many years of dedicated service. There are no announcements from the chair. The introduction of our new student trustees, Director Swaroop.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Supervisor Rodriguez. It's my pleasure to welcome our two new student trustees for the 2022-23 school year, Avneet Kaur Atwal from Harold M. Brathwaite Secondary School and Evelyn Lee from Erindale Secondary School. Welcome to your first board meeting as student trustees.
Thank you, Director Swaroop. And again, welcome student trustees Athwal and Lee, and we look forward to your input and participation around the table during the upcoming year. Congratulations and big welcome. There are no reports from trustees appointed to external organizations this evening, and we're on to item number 12 in the agenda, Director's Leadership Report, Director Swaroop.
Thank you, Supervisor Rodriguez, and good evening, trustees, staff, and community members. It has been an eventful summer at Peel District School Board. We ended the 2021-2022 school year on a joyful note, celebrating student success in person through graduation ceremonies. And we ran several summer programs for elementary and secondary students and for adult learners. And now we're getting ready to welcome students and their families back for the 2022-23 school year in just 1.5 weeks. I would like to thank everyone who worked diligently over the summer to ensure we are back to school ready. To the maintenance services team, project managers and support staff who oversaw construction for the renewal, renovations, and improvements at schools, thank you. To our facilities team, including facilities managers and custodial staff, thanks for your tireless efforts to improve curb appeal and make schools shine. And to our Welcome Center staff, thank you for providing new students and families with a warm welcome. And to all staff who ran summer programs, including those in transportation, please know you are appreciated. And to our vice principals, principals, and senior team members, thank you for your committed leadership. I'd like to begin by looking back at June. This year end felt extra special as we watched students across Peel District School Board accept their high school diplomas. Everyone was thrilled to be able to once again celebrate graduations in person. I was invited to speak at a couple of graduations, and I relished the opportunity to celebrate the remarkable student achievements along with their families. Thousands of Peel District School Board students were named to Ontario's top scholar list by graduating with an average of 80% or higher in their top 6 grade 12 courses, and many others had near perfect averages, while 3 students from Harold M. Brathwaite and the Woodland Secondary School graduated with averages of 100%. Andrew Gagnier and Jeffrey Kiley both graduated from the Woodlands Secondary School, while Chen Zhuang graduated from Harold M. Brathwaite School. Building on those great results, Meadowvale Secondary School's Javeria Mudassar was awarded the Schulich Leaders Scholarship, valued at $100,000 to study engineering. She'll be attending McMaster University this fall. And while at Meadowvale, she was heavily involved on the Student Activity Council and in the community. Most notably, she founded the Meadowvale chapter of jack.org, a mental health training and empowering charity. She hopes to become an astronaut, contributing to space technology with the ultimate goal of traveling into space. Cheryl Buttar, who graduated from Jean Augustine Secondary School, was another recipient of the Schulich Leadership Scholarship, having been awarded $80,000 to study computer science at the University of Toronto. Cheryl wants to research in systems intelligence. At the end of the school year, we also released the June issue of Touchpoint, which provides updates on the board's anti-oppression work and what we are doing to dismantle systemic racism and discrimination. With every update, our goal is to show how the ministry directives are being used as the framework to go beyond the directives to to support student success and well-being. And we are committed to long-term transformation, and we are excited by the work that is already underway. Here are some other key highlights that speak to our continued progress. There has been increased representation amongst administrators and teachers in school. In 2016, 24% of school administrators indicated they were Indigenous or racialized. In 2022, that number grew from 24% to 40%. In 2016, 29% of elementary school teachers and 32% of secondary school teachers indicated they were racialized. In 2022, these numbers increased from 29% to 44% for elementary school teachers and from 32% to 50% of secondary school teachers. This year, we also developed unprecedented anti-racism policies after community consultation and collaboration, and that includes having introduced the most comprehensive anti-racism policy in Ontario, the Black Student Success Strategy, as well as the Human Rights Policy and the Caring and Safe Schools Policy, each of which established accountability and transparency measures for Peel District School Board's leadership and included community voice in their development. And we continue to center community voice and build community agency. We established a community roundtable comprised of diverse leaders from the Peel community, in addition to a faith leaders group and a Punjabi Sikh table of community leaders. The We Welcome the World centers were evolved to reflect greater alignment with the board's vision for equity principles and anti-oppressive practices. And we also initiated a community engagement framework that uses an equity-centered and anti-colonial perspectives when working to serve communities, particularly those historically marginalized. Coming into summer months, learning activities in Peel District School Board continued through July and August. We had a very successful summer camp program. More than 1,400 students were enrolled in our summer camps this year, several of which were new additions this summer. The Monji Ding Wingushkeng Culture Camp was introduced for the first time this summer for students in grades 6 to 12 with First Nation, Inuit, and Métis ancestry. The camp was facilitated by community members and Peel District School Board Indigenous educators, centering land-based learning through Indigenous ways of knowing, and it was held on the incredible grounds at GW Finlayson Field Center. I had the pleasure of joining the students one day this summer and was amazed by the constant source of inspiration surrounding the campers. And I believe we have a video here.
Monjading Wingashking Culture Camp is a camp for Indigenous youth in grades 6 to 12 who attend schools across the Peel District School Board. This is our first year running the camp and we're very excited. The camp came to be out of consultation with our Indigenous Education Advisory Circle. The kids are engaging in teachings of the land, traditional plant medicines, as well as getting connected to some of those traditional teachings that were almost lost because of colonialism.
I think the best part of camp so far has been just the people I've gotten to work with. Like, the students have been great, and also the elders and people that have been brought in to teach us. They have a lot of knowledge to share, and I think that I've learned more in this past 3 days than I have in months of school or other places of learning.
So we're really excited to welcome both students and community members from across Turtle Island here on the land.
That was very inspiring, and it was amazing to see the learning connected with the land and the difference it made to the students. Another camp was Agents for Social Change that was launched this summer. It provides an authentic understanding of the history of people from the African diaspora and gives students agency to confront inequities and barriers that are present in their school community and beyond. A couple of our other new camps had the focus on readying incoming grade 9 students in advance of entering D-Stream programming. Bridging the Gap is a transition program that lets students earn a high school credit, and it ran in July at several schools across Peel. New this year, the Peel board offered the Math Bridge program to allow incoming grade 9s to earn a high school math credit designed to develop their numeracy skills and build their confidence before taking grade 9 D-Stream math. And over 300 students across Peel participated in this program. And in continuing and adult education, there were more than 11,000 adolescents and adult learners involved in grade 9 to 12 credit-bearing summer school. We also ran a pilot virtual summer co-op program in Swift coding with our Wave Hub, which is a skill development organization connected with Apple. Students worked with their Peel District School Board co-op teachers, as well as with industry, technical, and business mentors to develop and pitch their own app. I'm proud to share that 3 Peel students finished in the top 10 out of more than 200 students who were enrolled across 4 school boards. I also want to share, we have 3 balanced year schools that started the school year on August the 2nd. And at Tony Pontus Public School, I was amazed to see that the grade 8 graduates were volunteering at the school, with many of them wanting to return next year to volunteer. In fact, the school has had around 40 former students volunteering, and they are able to do so because their grade 9 classes would start in September. They helped to reorganize mobile technology, and in July, they gave tours to new families of the school and helped many teachers set up their classrooms. Since school began in August, they've been helping in classes, including giving extra support to kindergarten classes, as you can see in the pictures. Amazing volunteers here. At the beginning of the meeting, I had welcomed our new student trustees, Avneet Kaur Atwal and Evelyn Lee. I want to share a few photos from our student trustees' oath ceremony this week. Both Avneet Kaur Atwal and Evelyn Lee were accompanied by their proud families, and I want to congratulate them once again. It was a joy to be a part of the ceremony and to recognize the important role they'll play as we move forward on Peel District School Board's equity and inclusion transformation. Looking ahead, on September 6th, we'll be opening the doors of our newest school, Elm Drive Public School, serving the rapidly growing city center community of Mississauga. It'll open with more than 450 students and features a large learning commons and forum area adjacent to the stage and gymnasium, providing a wide range of programming opportunities for the school. It'll also offer an early on center and a child care center. And as we prepare for the return of students, I'd like to reaffirm Peel District School Board's commitment to student and staff safety. We will continue to follow the mandates and recommendations of Peel Public Health while respecting each individual's right to choose to wear a mask. The board strongly recommends that all students and staff wear masks while indoors this coming school year. All schools will have masks available for students or staff should they request them. Peel District School Board will also continue to emphasize hand hygiene, with sanitizer available for use, and cleaning measures will be in place daily at all our schools, which significantly lowers the risk of transmission. And that brings me to the end of my remarks for the evening. I look forward to sharing more of our progress and reasons to celebrate as we go through the 2022-23 school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Swaroop, for those remarks. And there certainly is plenty to celebrate and all kinds of good things that are happening. So thank you for sharing that with us. We're on item number 13 of the agenda, and there are no items on the consent agenda this evening. And to item number 14, I approve the minutes of the board meeting of June 22nd, 2022. Item 15, I'm in receipt of the minutes of Student Learning, Wellbeing and Equity Committee, June 8th, 2022, and motions for consideration from the Student Learning, Wellbeing and Equity Committee, June 8th, 2022. Also in receipt of the minutes of the Audit Committee, June 9th, 2022, and in receipt of the minutes of the Governance and Policy Committee, June 15th, 2022, and the motions for consideration at that meeting on June 15th, 2022 as well. Moves us to item number 16, the staff reports. 16.1, the third quarter financial reports as at May 31st, 2022. Director Swaroop.
And through you, Supervisor Rodriguez, I will ask Associate Director Jaspal Gill to present the third quarter financial report.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Director Swaroop, and through you, Supervisor Rodriguez. And the report provides board's actual expenditures up to May 31st, 2022. The expenditures are in line with those of previous years and below our benchmark of 75%. There are currently no concerns with our normal operating expenditures being within budget for the remainder of the year. In regards to COVID-specific funding, it will be fully utilized by the end of the year, with some need to supplement from the board's reserves or other in-year savings. As per ministry guidelines for the 2021-22 school year, boards can utilize up to 2% of their operating allocation from reserves to support expenditures related to COVID. So Controller Tessa Charles and I are happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, AD Gill. Are there any questions for? We have a question from Trustee McDonald. Our budget year ends this month. How are we looking?
Through you, Supervisor Rodriguez. As I mentioned, there are currently no concerns with our normal operating expenditures being within the budget for the remainder of the year. So it's looking good at this point.
Okay. Looks like there's another question here from. All right, just a couple questions. One in terms of, so looking at the current expenditures were indicated at 68% and generally trend at this time around 75% for the third quarter. Are there line items in the budget specifically? I'm sort of thinking around program other from those grants that come outside of the GSN. If not spent, will need to be returned.
Through you, Supervisor Rodriguez. So 68% where we are is sort of in line with our previous years, even though our benchmark is around 75%. So we still have to go through, this is up to the end of the May. So June, July, and August, and we, as I mentioned, we will be within our normal operating expenditure, but in regards to specific funds that the ministry provides, most of those funds, the timelines are into the next year. As far as any specific funds which are we have to spend up to the end of this school year. Currently, we're watching that, and we're hopeful that we will spend those funds.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron has a question. How did we do at hiring the 100 EAs which were approved for in the budget? That's the upcoming budget he's speaking about.
Yes. So through you, Supervisor Rodriguez, as you mentioned, that is into our next school year, and those TA, the budget for those TAs was included into the budget approved by the board. So we will continue to monitor that as we start the next school year in September.
So it's more specific to his question, is there something going on in terms of taking place for the hiring? Are there things in place that will at least address the hiring, I guess is what he's asking?
Yes, so we are continuing to hire staff, including TAs. I think our challenge is maybe I'll ask the superintendent for special education. Maybe they can comment further on it. But our challenge is sometimes in the last 2 years is more on the absences, and we are hopeful that with the COVID situation much better into the next school year, that we will not have that many absences, and we will not be in a situation what we have been in the last 2 years.
Okay, great, thank you. Just a couple more things in terms of line items that you have. On the first page, under school renewal, there seems to be about 19.4% spent. I'm assuming that any new builds that are taking place, so on and so forth, will probably come between the summer months. And if there has been capital buildings that are taking place, have the trustees been informed that are in those areas of those capital bills?
To you, Supervisor Rodriguez, the school renewal is mainly the funds which we normally utilize for regular maintenance of our buildings, and most of those funds are spent during the month of July and August. And so again, these funds are sort of in line with the previous years, but by the end of August, which is in a week or so, we are very confident that we will spend those funds, because most of the work is being done in the summer months. But if there are any capital related issues, yes, we will be keeping the school administration as well as trustees up to date if there are any concerns. But I'm not aware of any concerns that will impact the school opening come September.
Thank you. The other question that I had related to some of the line items were specifically around staff development, and I'm looking primarily at the central organizational expenses and the fact that quite a bit has been allocated, but very little spent. And that seems to be sort of a pattern that has emerged around some of the staff development. Some areas, they seem to use it all. Other areas, there seem to be quite a large amount left over after the third quarter. And I recognize that because of COVID, it's been difficult in terms of the staff development piece. Are there plans to use that, or will that be rolled over?
I'm assuming that some of that staff development did happen in the last 3 months. If not, then definitely, depending upon our needs for the next school year, if it's required, then definitely we will look at doing the rollover into the next school year.
Okay. And the other one that I sort of had a question about was under innovation and research. There was a line item around association memberships and other costs, and there was about $37,000 allocated there, and not much spent. Was there some explanation for that, or are people just not? I just see that as a department that could use that line item, and it just doesn't seem to be any use in it.
So through you, Supervisor Rodriguez, I'm gonna ask the superintendent for innovation research if they can comment on that.
Hello, it's Bernadette Smith here, Superintendent of Innovation and Research, and through you, Bruce Rodriguez. So that money is there in case we do need funding for any of the memberships that we would be pursuing and procuring. Currently, the Innovation and Research Department has within the department both the Empowering Modern Learning team and the Library Services team. And both teams are working to build partnerships with business and industry, as well as educational partners. And so that funding would go to support any initiatives that would be created with those partners.
Thanks, Superintendent Smith. And my final question to you, A.D. Gill, is on the last, I guess it's, I don't know what page number I'm on here. On page 11 at the end there, under curriculum instruction and assessment. And there are some provincial grants there, and then there's revenue from other school boards and fees and revenue from other sources. And it speaks in the notes to the fact that there's engaged math strategy and there's recoverable salary for conveners billed, twice a year kind of piece. In terms of revenues from other sources, one of the things that had come up during the budget deliberations was the issue around students that we get from like foreign students that come to us. Do we continue to have revenue from that particular source, and where does that line item end up? And in the coming year, do we have increased because of the COVID situation sort of being rectified a little bit?
Through you, Supervisor Rodriguez, during as we were doing our enrollment projections and we were working through the budget, we are looking at around approximately 300 international students coming into next year. That is definitely lower than the numbers that we have pre-COVID numbers, but we definitely are putting more efforts into that area to see how we're gonna grow that area. We are definitely, and also we are looking into having international students attend our virtual school, because many of our international students like to, and it's their preference that they will attend maybe one semester through the virtual school while they are staying in their country, but they being our students, and then the next semester they will spend it. So we're looking at a number of ways that we can grow our international students coming in. So definitely, and those revenues are included in their fees and revenue from other sources, and it is mostly from the international student line.
Great. Thank you so much, A.D. Gill. Thank you for your report. I always find them wholesome and interesting, so really appreciate all of the work that goes into it that you and your team put. So thank you very much for that. Just one last question, I think you've already mentioned this, but I want to make sure that we ask it, is that from Trustee McDonald's question really stems the notion that we're not at risk, right? As we move forward, you don't see any risk in terms of where the budget sits at the end of the third quarter.
Definitely not. We are definitely, currently there's no concerns.
Awesome. Thank you so much. With that, I am in receipt of the third quarter financial reports as at May 31st, 2022. There are no trustee motions for consideration, and there are no trustee notices of motion. And having no further business this evening, I now adjourn the meeting of the board for August 24th, 2022. Have a pleasant rest of the evening and a wonderful remainder of the summer. We hope to see you in person soon. Take good care.